You're listening to ADHD Support Talk. ADHD Support Talk is brought to you by addclasses.com. Visit www.addclasses.com to sign up for helpful resources today. I want to welcome you back to ADHD Support Talk. I'm your co-host, Lynne Edris, and I am a productivity and ADHD coach. So I help overwhelmed professionals reduce procrastination, improve time management, and get the things that matter done with less effort so that they have more time and more energy for what matters most to them. I am also a woman with ADHD myself, guys, so I get it. I've been there, and I've come out the other side, so to speak. And I know you can as well. You can learn more about me and what I do at www.coachingadvantages.com. Well, today, this is a special episode. I have my co-host, Tara McGillicuddy, our founder and creator of ADHD Support Talk, here with me. And she is celebrating quite a milestone, which we're going to talk about today. But I want to welcome you, Tara. Go ahead and introduce yourself to our listeners again.
Thanks. Yes, as Lynn said, I'm Tara McGillicuddy. I am the founder and creator of this ADHD Support Talk Radio podcast of addclasses.com. I'm a woman with ADHD, an ADHD coach. I offer ADHD support resources and other resources to help people shift their energy. You can learn more about me and the products and services that I offer by going to my main website, taramcgillicuddy.com.
Well, that's what's awesome about that, as Tara said, my main website, which is part of the reason that we wanted to do this today. Tara has quite a milestone for one of the resources that she offers, which is ADD classes. You have the 20th anniversary of ADD classes this year, which is kind of amazing.
Yeah.
Like beyond amazing. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
I thought our listeners would like to hear a little bit about, like, how did you start ADD classes at a time when really, 20 years ago, online resources for ADHD period were few and far between. But tell our listeners a little bit about how you got started. Like, what was the origin, the history?
Well, addclasses.com wasn't my first ADHD website that was living with ADD and that had personal stories. And that I started in 1999. That became pretty much obsolete with Facebook and social media and everything. It's still up. I had also begun, hearing about teleclasses for people with ADHD, taking them, participating in them. I was participating in ones for one of the national organizations. And back in the day, in early 2004, 2003, in order to sign up for one of their teleclasses, we were required to print out a PDF and mail it in. And I've never been good with mail. And I was frustrated because, wait a minute, in this day and age is going to be a better way. So that's pretty much what prompted me is I was frustrated by something else. And I knew I could find a better way. There was a better way to do it. And I was interested in ADHD resources. I was coaching at the time. And I was also interested in different types of software. And I remember downloading a piece of software. This was before WordPress. This was, I think, Moodle was what it was called. It was a course management site. And I'm like, what, I could do something with this. And then gradually I just decided, and I was connecting with other people in the field, other coaches, other professionals. And I'm like, I could do something with this. What could I do? And I reached out to a couple people. I'm like, okay, I have somewhat of an online presence. I have a list. Even back in the day, I had an email list before lots of people did. I'm like, I could help you, get the word out, teach your class. So I reached out to a friend at the time, Linda Hilger, who was offering the ADD boot camp, or the ADD audio coach she had published years before. And we started doing that. And then I reached out to more people in what I was doing, offering teleclasses, which for people, in 2024, what a teleclass is we'd call into a bridge line and a telephone line, like a party line, so to speak. And you probably have maybe 20 people at the most. And then I think originally you couldn't even pause it and stuff. So, or you couldn't mute it, or it was hard.
Right,
so you'd hear the background noise. You'd hear people
like a giant ADHD conference
doing
call,
dishes.
which is kind of a nightmare.
It was but that's what everyone was doing. And I was offering them for free. I had big names like Sari Solden, Terry Matlin, who we've been working together for years. Those were people that are still in the ADHD world that people might know about. They'd come on, and the way I handled it is I'd introduce them. They'd start presenting over the phone their class live, and then towards the end take questions. And back in the day when it was really not a lot of way to mute, well, we did mute, but it was hard
Yeah.
to
Hard to
take those
control, hard to
questions. You couldn't
manage.
really screen them. But what I was doing, I was off them usually once a month, twice a month. And then I developed the ADD audio library where recordings of the classes. And then gradually I offered some paid classes. We had the ADD book club or ADHD book club, which people would get together once a month and discuss a book. And half the people weren't reading the book. They were just listening, but it was a resource. And we had that for a couple of years. Had the ADD coaching club, which was group coaching, boot camp, time management. And then gradually the teleclasses transitioned to teleseminars, which were, some people were still calling in over the phone. Some people were listening to it via broadcast, but there was more moderation where I could go online and people could type in questions. I could moderate it. I could see on a panel who's on there, causing noise, so I could mute them.
Right. A little more management.
Presentations became a lot better to be on, and when you're in the audio library listening, they became easier to listen. And then now, now we have Zoom where everything's video. I still do a lot of audio only, but that's how, I think over the 20 years, that's what it came to. I've had lots of different types of classes about productivity, ADHD and money, ADHD and procrastination. We've had, Ned Hallowell, John Rady, like I said, Sari Solden, Ari Tuckman probably has more than a dozen classes in the ADD audio library. So if if you're a member of the ADD audio library, the majority of the classes are still in there. Not all of them, because some of them just got lost because one of my software expired.
Technology,
just technology. And then some of them were just so painful to listen to because of the the screeching, the dog barking,
the quality of the
audio quality
of the platforms at the time.
That's one of the stories, a bit of a history behind ADD classes, how it started.
So
and I
why did you start it?
In addition to being frustrated by not being able to have it to sign up for teleclasses by mailing a PDF in, I also wanted to, and this is back in 2000, before there were 1,000,001 ADHD online resources, or however many there really are. I wanted to provide affordable and accessible resources for adults with ADHD. And back then there weren't that many. Now there's a bunch of them. Not all of them are great. Some of them are amazing. Some of them aren't. I mean, I think that's like that with anything, but that was besides the frustration, my inspiration, I think, was more to help people and have it be more accessible and affordable.
And look how over time it has evolved into so many different things.
Yes.
Which is, it really is amazing. Is there anything that you'd like to share with the listeners that has surprised you, or that you've learned yourself kind of over all these years? 20 years is a long time.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing, back in the day in 2004, I wasn't considering myself a leader in ADHD. I didn't consider myself an expert. I was doing coaching. I had an online presence. Some people knew me, but I still had that inferiority complex that I wasn't good enough as these leading experts. And what I learned actually pretty early on is that these people with the books, with the medical degrees, they call themselves doctors, some of them, they had ADHD moments too. They were still insecure. They still, made some mistakes. So that was the biggest thing that really surprised me, is these people got nervous. People you wouldn't think of. They email me, and then there was the opposite. The people that you think should have been nervous just weren't. The ones you expect that, they have it all together. They were the ones that came on and really surprised me, that they wanted to do well. They were some of them were intimidated by me, which shocked me. But I think that was the big thing. I think that's when I got to realize these aren't just authors with names of books. These aren't just experts. These are real humans, most of them having
Absolutely.
ADHD themselves. And I think it brought my self-esteem up too, that, okay, here's something I'm good at. I'm good at
Yeah.
getting people together. I'm good at doing this project, this ADDclasses.com.
So you found your thing. You found, well, one of your things, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's so important for all of us with ADHD to realize, like, we see people, whether we call them experts or whatever we call them, and we see whatever it is that they put out there on social
Yep.
media, on the web, on webinars, whatever, and we assume that these people, like, what we kind of interpret is that they are, I'm using my quotey fingers, you can't see, perfect, or they
Mhm.
have it all together.
Yeah.
And I think it's important to realize that, like, they're all real people. And
Yeah.
that's one of the things I always want to make sure that my clients
Yeah.
remember is, like,
And
I'm as human as the next person, and we all are.
some of the people who appear to have it all together have assistants who help them with a
Hmm.
lot of things.
Which
That
is
was one
awesome.
of the things, and it's great to delegate, to have assistants, but some of these people that are extremely successful and present themselves well on camera or at a conference have a lot of support, or no, they
Yes.
have support. That was the one that was another thing that surprised me, that I wasn't even thinking of. Like, okay, and yeah,
Yeah.
how much there is, and they delegate, because here are these people that are amazing speakers, and they have somebody else dealing with 90% of their executive functioning challenges.
Which is awesome if you can do
Yeah,
it,
yeah, yeah,
right? Right. Absolutely. That's awesome. I mean, we do have we have an incredible community. And I know over the years, like, you've worked with just about everybody, just about everybody. And,
yeah.
we have some amazing personalities and we have some amazing people, but we are all real people, like real people with
Yeah, yeah,
flaws and,
that's
you
the
know,
one thing I saw. They're real people. Sometimes they forget what they were going to speak on. Sometimes they were late.
right,
Sometimes they
right.
didn't know whether it was video. Like, yeah. So yeah, I think we saw these real EDD moments, and hey, I can be myself too. And then
Absolutely.
technology always happens. Like, there was
Oh,
one
absolutely.
time
Yeah.
I was having Sari Solden on, I think it was back in 2007, 2008. And I decided to reboot my computer probably like a half hour before, just to be on the safe side. And it
A
was one of
half
those
hour.
times where it decided that it needed an update or
Oh
something.
no. Oh
I am
no.
panicking, and she's getting a little bit upset too. Not upset, but I think she was nervous that
Getting
it was
anxious
starting a
that,
little bit.
yeah.
Here I am back in the day. She was one of the biggest names. So I think, but I was also realizing that people are very forgiving.
Yes. Yes.
Sometimes we get those mean, nasty emails because people are
Yeah.
impulsive,
Oh,
frustrated.
absolutely. Yep. Yep.
But I think I learned that, when you mess up, or not even mess up, because technology, when you do a business based
Right.
technology, you're bound to one time or another have
Yeah.
technological issues.
Oh, shit's gonna happen.
I
Yeah.
did learn
Excuse
that
my French.
people, once you explained it, were very forgiving, the professionals
Yeah.
and the majority of the people in the audience. So,
Yeah.
yeah, technical. And I remember when everyone was switching over to video and Zoom, and I'm like, no. Or everyone was doing stuff live, and I'm like, you know what? I don't want to do video live because I just know what can happen. I get nervous enough
Right.
with pre-recorded stuff. And then over the years, that is one thing that really changed, is we don't schedule things as much as we used to.
Yeah.
Everything is on demand. So it used to be that back in the day when we had the live teleclasses, 95% of the people would be there live. And then it just
Absolutely.
gradually kept changing,
Mm-hmm.
where I think now you do one, you probably have 15% of the people that are there live, especially if they know there's going
Absolutely.
to be a recording. So that's a
Right.
thing that I think I've learned over the years, going with the flow or paying attention to people's needs. And
Right. Absolutely.
I think, and that's a strategy that in general works for ADHD, knowing that you need to reevaluate. But that's a
Evolving.
biggie that has definitely changed in the 20 something years, is people expect just about everything on demand, like live.
Yeah.
Because coaching back in the day, we were taught that you can only coach live.
Oh,
You have to be
absolutely.
there live. And it's like, no,
Yep.
people there are some people that really like to be there live on a video call or a
Mm-hmm.
telephone call, but people can
Absolutely.
still benefit from listening to a recording
Absolutely.
or
There are
watching.
lots of benefits to having something like that recorded as
Yeah.
well. You can revisit what you want, you could re-listen to or rewatch what you need to rewatch. That's one of the things that I think is impressive is you have evolved as your audience has evolved, as our tribe has evolved, and as the technology has evolved. I think that's one of the kind of secrets to longevity, I guess, in any business. So how will you celebrate 20 years?
So this
Hopefully
is
you're
funny.
doing
I know
something cool.
I've told you this. I've told a few other people back, I think in February, end of January, I was on the ADD classes website and looked down at the footer and I noticed I needed to change the copyright date, and I looked and it was like, I'm like, oh, 2004 to like, wait a minute. It's 20 years. Not only do I have to change it to 2024, it's 20 years, which it
Yeah.
just, and I do other things too. And ADD classes was my main thing, for a while. But then I was doing the ADHD Expo, the ADHD podcast,
Yeah.
other stuff. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to celebrate. And then it's like, oh, what do I want to do? Because here I have the ADHD Awareness Expo, which I do every year, and that's going to be celebrating its 15th. So,
Wow.
and
Yeah.
that's big. We have a bunch of things. It's a month long. How can I celebrate ADD classes? And ADD classes has always been audio too.
Right.
And like, how do I not compete with it? So what I'm doing, and it used to be that once a month, I do free webinars, teleclasses, teleseminars, whatever they are. And I'm like, well, maybe I could do 20 individual classes for 20. And I'm like, I don't know, that's just a lot of scheduling. And as I just said, not everyone likes to be there, needs to be there live anyways. So I am going to be doing 4 different like mini events
Okay.
where we have 5 sessions. They're going to be available for 2 weeks at a time. In addition to those sessions that people can listen to for free, each of the speakers is going to offer a free gift. And I know sometimes when you do the VIP, when you do a teleseminar online event, in order to get the gift, you have to upgrade. These gifts are going to be available to everyone who signs up.
Awesome.
And since I know, not everyone can listen within 24 hours, because that seems to be the standard model for a lot of the telesummits and online events. It's like the first one is going to be dropped or air on May 6th. And then you have two
Okay.
weeks to listen to that. And I'm still fine
Nice.
tuning the experts and stuff. There will be more. I mean, if you go to addclasses.com, as soon as that's up, that'll be there. But it's going to be fun. And I'll probably give some prizes out. It's going to be great speakers. I know, Lynn, you're going to be speaking, I think, later this summer.
I will.
Yeah. I think the one in May, we have Terry Matlin, Alan Brown, and a newer person, Marissa Moon, who I just recently met. And I think we have a couple other people who will be speaking also. But it's, I wouldn't say bite size. It's 5 sessions. And they're going to be between a half hour and 45 minutes long, that you can listen to over and over again. And if you miss the 2 weeks, you will have that option to upgrade to the audio library, where not only
Okay.
will you have access to these newer sessions from the mini summits, the mini events, you'll have access to the audio library from the past 20 or so years.
Wow.
So
Okay.
yeah, so
That's a lot. Yeah.
you'll, and I might put some of the old ones in there also, like so people get a sample. And what's interesting is sometimes like, okay, a class is 19 years old, it's 15 years old. Does it make sense? But a lot of these things with
Yeah.
ADHD, there's the advice that was given 15 years ago for majority of things still works now. I know medication has changed over the years, not that
Obviously.
much.
Yes.
And then there's
Yeah.
usually new things like mindfulness is newer.
Absolutely.
There's stuff
Yeah.
like that. So I'm excited, and I think it's going to be easier for people to listen to 5 at a time, not 5 at a time, but to designate time
Right.
to listen to those 5 sessions, than try to listen to 30 sessions at once.
20 of them in a week
But
or
it,
whatever.
so,
Yeah.
and they're going to be
Absolutely.
audio. And I think some people find, what people were saying to me, even when they purchase like an upgrade package for videos for the expo, is, oh, I was listening to it in my car. I was listening to
Right.
it
Right.
while I did the dishes. So a lot of people listen. And then with technology now, I mean, you can have your screen to read out the text. What is that?
Absolutely. Yep.
Yeah,
Transcribe or whatever.
transcribe. Like
Absolutely.
like
Captions or
technology has, whereas I remember like 10 years ago, I was like, oh, how do I get everything transcribed? And it was going to be a pain in the you know what, and cost a lot of money
yes.
to have like
Yes.
hundreds of
Pay
audios
somebody to type it
transcribed.
up.
But you
Yeah.
can, depending on what device you're on, you can just press a button and it'll transcribe and it'll have the words there. So I'm excited.
I think it's going to
Something
be great.
different.
And I think it's going to
Yeah.
be a great resource that's going to help a lot of people.
Yeah.
So they will be able to learn about it and sign up at www.addclasses.com, correct?
Yes.
Anything else you want people to know?
I think that's just the main thing.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's resources there. And like I said, sometimes over the years I focus more on other things, but ADD, there's so much there. There's sometimes it can be overwhelming, but I think starting with the 5 sessions at once is going to be a little easier, less overwhelming, more
A little more
bite-sized, than
manageable.
more manageable.
Yeah.
There we go. So thank you so
Awesome.
much for bringing me on, or bringing me on. I know it's my podcast too, but for interviewing me and helping me with
Yeah.
this today.
Well, I'm excited to be a speaker, but guys, like I have ADHD. I always want to learn. I want to know what other people are doing and, what's new and what interesting things other people are sharing. So I'm really looking forward to the speakers sessions as well. So again, you can learn more at addclasses.com and sign up for the different mini events as Tara brings them available to the community. So thank you again for being here, Tara. Thank you all for listening.
Thank
If
you.
you want to join us in the ADHD Support Talk community on Facebook, we'd love to have you, connect with you there. You can share any questions that you have, any suggestions you have for topics that you would like us to cover, guests you'd like us to have on the show. I mean, we are always looking forward to other people's input as well. Well, we thank you for your attention. Thank you again for being here, Tara, and we'll catch you next time on ADHD Support Talk.
Thank you.